Are you headed to connection, or are you headed down into red, which is more of that dorsal collapse? And dorsal collapse is your central nervous system is literally like, can't do this, need to go take care of self immediately. You're literally just overwhelmed with stress, cortisol, adrenaline, etc., to where your system shuts down.
And there's something called decision fatigue, where basically it shows that the further you go throughout your day, the more decisions you make, the less likely you make intelligent decisions. I do agree, nothing good happens past 11 p.m. And if you're drinking, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Conscious couples, business partners, and individuals, welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and relationship expertise to help you consistently cultivate the most magnificent relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges. We'll help you have the courage to be your authentic self, communicate effectively, and constructively resolve conflict.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching, speaking, podcasting, and hosting live events with conscious couples all over the world, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and individuals from all over the world, welcome back to another episode of the one and only Conscious Couples podcast. We have episode 198, How Well Does Your Partner Manage Their Mood, also known as their state. Before we jump into this episode, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions for producing this show. We now work with 77 people over at Next Level Podcast Solutions. It is unbelievable. Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you. Emilia at Evolve Ventures, Next Level University, all that. If you want to start, grow, scale, or monetize a podcast, we do what we do best so you can do what you do best. As always, my love, what is your intention?
My intention for our listeners today is to help them understand, A, is their partner good at regulating themselves? In other words, state awareness, also referred to as mood. B, what to do if they don't. And then C, to help you give that pat on your back that you likely have earned through difficult, challenging moments where you, dear listener, have finally learned how to master your mood.
AKA, if you've ever seen Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, how do we achieve intergalactic oneness and stay centered amongst the chaos? I am joking. All right, so you have a study. We had an event last night, and I want to give a shout out to everybody who came. First names only. Shout out to Amy, Kenna, Emilia. You were there.
That's me.
Bonnie, Justin, Chris, Alan, Stephanie, Alexander, Gwen, Christy, and Heather. Shout out to all of you. This event was awesome. Thank you so much. The chat was on fire. And Emilia created some incredible slides for us, one of which is going to be in the show notes, by the way.
Very exciting.
Which we will reference. But Emilia and I have an episode for you. So, event recap. We talked in the episode about state awareness being one of the most critical components of communication.
Yes, and for anyone who didn't join us at that event, I don't think you said this before, what the event was around was the 3 communication essentials that relationships need in order to thrive.
Yeah.
And so we broke it down into 3 different components, the first one being state awareness.
Yep. And when Emilia and I prepped for this episode, we talked about what was the biggest takeaway from the event, because these are real people in the real world. That's why we love them. They're private. The next one is on
the top 3 things men struggle with in their relationship.
So this one's going to be focused on, there's some funny terms out there. Himpathy. I'm going to have Emilia explain these. So what is himpathy? What are the other ones, and what are they?
Man-keeping.
Man-keeping. Not to be confused with manscaping.
And the man box.
And the man
That's what
box.
we refer to in an episode that we launched just before this. I do believe, Why Men Struggle with Their Feelings, 197. So take a listen to that if you haven't already. But at the end of the day, empathy is essentially making sure that your partner is contained upon the male box or the man box. And so empathy is ensuring that your partner doesn't actually feel emotions because you don't trust that that's going to be a safe place for them or a safe place for you. So man keeping, on the other hand, is actually really taking care of everything from the emotional engagements to the social engagements to whatever it takes to quote unquote keep a man alive, for lack of better words.
So man keeping is you run their schedule and the logistics for them?
Pretty much, you do everything for them,
okay,
so that they don't actually have to do anything. And it's not necessarily in efforts to keep them, happy. It's more so because they've backed you into that corner and started to control and manipulate you, and you've bought into that story. And so the man box is essentially the umbrella term that actually prevents men from having any lick of emotional intelligence, inner awareness, state attunement, etc. And it keeps them in that quote unquote toxic masculinity that a lot of people refer to.
So the man box is men don't get therapists.
They don't cry.
Men don't cry.
Feelings.
Men don't have feelings. Okay, and
they certainly don't want cookies if you ask them.
Right, that is a reference to a comedian. I would love a cookie, but real quick. But I say it. You don't say it. I say it. All right. So empathy is a play on the word sympathy. Can you go into that?
It's actually more of a play on words empathy. So instead of having empathy, right, and getting in the shoes of the man, you instead kind of take over their shoes so that they don't have to feel it.
Okay. So at that event, if you are out there watching or listening and you're a man like me, you will definitely learn some things. If you are a female who is with a male, this will be very helpful in what regard?
This specific podcast will be helpful because there's so many different things that we can do that can help contribute to a relationship that is self-aware, that is emotionally regulated, that is helpful and nourishing and can grow together and not apart. And likewise, there's complete opposite elements that we can do. Obvious one is yelling at your partner to contribute to a low state or a red zone. And we'll talk about that in this episode.
So what would you say to the ladies? Why should they come to the event?
Oh, to the event.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
I apologize. Okay. So why they would come to the event is because ultimately you don't want to be left up to chance having your man, quote unquote, struggle or your partner struggle in all the zones that men struggle with. And then one day slowly build up that resentment and contempt that has you two growing apart to where you don't even care about being touched, being looked at, or having those deeper connection points that you two really started out in and craving. And so if you can learn how to shift into a supportive role, but that doesn't put you secondary, that is everything. Because in the 21st century, women need to step more into a more empowered role from my perspective, less of a disempowered role.
Yeah. So in summary, being an empowered female that really holds a certain standard that forces the man to actually contemplate and grow.
Invites them into it.
Yeah.
And then hold a standard of saying, if you're not ready for that, or if you don't want to grow, that's okay. But I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. I'm not going to tolerate your emotional immaturity. I'm sure as hell I'm not going to pick up your laundry after you. I'm not your mother.
Yeah.
Right. So we've shifted into a new era where women understand that their value isn't just producing babies anymore. Nice. And finally, the cultural narrative and shift is coming there. So
beautiful. Mm-hmm. Well said. Good. Okay. So, the event recap, we started off with state awareness, and this came up for me, even though in the event I did not share this. I thought about alcohol, and I thought, whoa. So we use state awareness as green, yellow, red. So I had a tough business meeting with my business partner, Kev, right before the event, and I was in a red state, and I had to kind of pick myself back up and then add value. And so I was red headed yellow in the event. By the end of the event, I was yellow headed green, which was really good. But those are the sort of red, yellow, green. Red is you are in a bad state. Watch out. Yellow is you're doing okay, but you're a little tired or whatever it is. And then green is unbelievable. But the key here is it's not just your state, it's where it's headed. Mm-hmm. So you would rather be red-headed yellow than yellow-headed red. Mm-hmm. And so the danger zone is when two partners are both in a red state. Mm-hmm. Like Emilia and I right now are both in pretty good states. I'm probably yellow-headed green right now.
Yep.
What are you?
Same. I'm in activation, but like yellow isn't a bad thing. It really correlates with if anyone studied or is familiar with polyvagal theory, which is essentially like state awareness through the
What are the three?
12th cranial nerve. The top is ventral vagal, so that's where the green comes from. You're green, growing, and connecting, and
And
you're
what does
able to get
ventral
outside
vagal
your
mean
comfort zone
for people?
Ventral vagal is exactly what I just said. You're willing to get outside of your comfort zone. You're in a physiological state that allows higher cortical thinking to be developed, and really the way in which your central nervous system is responding, you can prioritize social connection and leveraging collective intelligence. So problem solving is much easier to access in a ventral vagal state. You're more in that state of flow and that peace and that tranquility. And yellow is more of that sympathetic activation of the nervous system, to where you are aroused and you're ready to go and you're ready to get after it. And every state has a different upper threshold and lower threshold, but essentially in the yellow, that's like you and I ready to get after it, activated for business, for doing things that we're here to show up for. So yellow isn't necessarily a bad state, but knowing how and why you're activated and where the activation is going towards. Are you headed to green? Are you headed to connection? Or are you headed down into red, which is more of that dorsal collapse? And dorsal collapse is your central nervous system is literally like, can't do this, need to go take care of self immediately. You're literally just overwhelmed with stress, cortisol, adrenaline, et cetera, to where your system shuts down.
Sorry, in that state, you're fully reactive. That's the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn state, essentially.
Yeah.
Trauma responses.
Yeah, and collapse.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay,
Yeah.
so imagine two partners, both in a red state. They both got home from work late. Mm-hmm. One of them's drunk. That's bad news.
That's actually
tornado meets volcano situation.
Literally called the collision zone. Mm-hmm. So you and I were just doing research a little bit before this and pulling up which research study we wanted to include in this for our listeners. The collision zone is that zone where you are transitioning from whatever your endeavors were from the day and you're coming home. Again, maybe you went out to drinks with some buddies or some friends and you're deciding to come home. Your partner went through their own day and there's been like really no state attunement and state up leveling, for lack of better words. It's called upregulating. You end up in the collision zone because your cortisol, your adrenaline, your stress levels are extremely high and there's been no shaking off, if you will. And alcohol is not a shake off. It is an actual depressant of what is already in your system. That doesn't mean that it's going to depress you to where you show up in a state and you're in that collision zone. It's likely actually going to just be fuel on the fire of whatever's going on.
So the metaphor here is picture two drunk drivers hitting each other in the collision zone. So the idea here at the event is be very hyper conscious, very hyper aware, very hyper attuned to your state and your partner's state. If your partner's in a red state, you don't want to bring up the next 10-year roadmap. We joked in the event about, I had a relationship talks coaching session, me and Emilia and this other couple. Shout out to you if you're listening. And she was in a tough state. She was in a red state and I was green as it gets. And I was trying to break down their 5-year roadmap and their dream home, and she was just trying to get through the day. And so we had to kind of bring it back and get her regulated, which was great. But that was a good example of not being attuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the challenging things that we see in relationships. You know, they had literally just come into the collision zone because he had just gotten home from work. Mm-hmm. She was waiting like 5 or 10 minutes.
That's right.
And so like they were in the collision zone when they literally showed up for RTC. And where your skills are at as human beings, we can all get better in the state attunement, state awareness. We struggle to be able to do that with other people and understand like what actual cues, micro expressions, body language, energy, word choice, facial expressions, etc. What is that map to in terms of red, yellow, green? We don't get good at that skill if we're not practicing that within ourselves. So in the event, what we mentioned was self-awareness. That is a huge indicator for couples that thrive, as opposed to couples that are just surviving, barely surviving, because of the fact that if they were aware in that moment and kind of did a quick mutual exchange of like, hey babe, I'm in a red zone. Where are you in? Right before they jumped on RTC, that would have been helpful language to share prior to us kind of growing, which is one of those kind of settings where we do that.
So in the show notes, there's a slide from the event that has a spectrum of red, yellow, green. On the far right is green, which is thriving as a couple. Mm-hmm. Far left is red, which is surviving.
Yep.
Right? So that'll be in the show notes, available for free for all of you. Also, we wanted to talk about morning versus evening and then alcohol. So I want to share this. I had quit drinking probably about a year before you and I met.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 7 years ago now.
On your own vocation?
Yes.
I think that's important to mention.
What do you mean?
You quit on your own vocation. No one was pressuring you. You didn't have a horrible thing. Like,
No,
obviously,
no.
Things don't happen that are great when you're drinking, but,
Yeah.
like, you did
Yeah,
that on
yeah.
your own accord. And I want to celebrate that.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
big.
you. Yeah, so 11 years ago, I got in a tough car accident, not anything to do with drinking. And I just was like, you know what? I'm not reaching my full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to reach my full potential. And eventually, you get to a point where you realize that I can't reach my full potential and drink alcohol. This is making me worse. This is making me dumber. This is hurting my brain. Yeah. It is what it is. So I quit. And you and I on our first date, I told you that. You made a funny joke.
I love it because people need to hear that. People need to hear these stories. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, I actually wrote a blog about it. Yeah, you made a funny joke. Can I share that?
Sure,
do you mind?
Sure.
All right. So
Emilia, I was not state attuned, and I realized that.
I thought it was hilarious. So Emilia and I we went axe throwing, and then we were talking at sort of the outskirts of a bowling alley because we just wanted to get away from people and connect.
Yeah.
And I had told her, I quit drinking, and it's actually been. It took me 5 years to quit drinking, I would always say, because I would fall off at weddings.
Of course.
Yeah, open bar.
And social liquid courage.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, the only way to break social anxiety at a wedding is typically to have one, which turns into two. It's a whole thing. So anyways, so Emilia said, we were going to the bathroom to leave to go get sushi on our first date. And she goes, pound some nips in the stall. I kid you not. So I go in. I think nothing of it. I think you're hilarious.
Gosh,
now,
face planting.
Knowing you now, it's hilarious.
Oh gosh.
So I get out of the bathroom and she's like, "I'm so sorry."
So in the bathroom, I'm literally looking at myself in the mirror, like, "Oh my God, you literally just heard from this guy that he's been trying to quit for 5 years. Like, that was so insensitive."
Does that make it sound like it was hard? I shouldn't say that.
Yes,
Maybe.
it did. It did. No, and my awareness at that time was really coming up of like how alcoholism has been difficult to quit for a lot of people. Yeah. So like, I was so insensitive at that moment. And given the way you explained it, I was in the bathroom and I was like, oh, that was such a jerk move. Worst thing to say. Not supportive. And that doesn't show my true character of like loving and supporting it. Like, came off as so insensitive.
Yeah,
in my
that's
opinion.
so great.
So I come out of the bathroom.
Now that you know me, so I come out of the bathroom. She's like, "I am so sorry." I was like, "I didn't even notice. We're good."
God,
I thought that was hilarious. Again, I'm just grateful that I quit. It's all good. No worries. I never, just quit on a whim. All good. But the point of this, to bring it back, is the very first time you and I ever hung out, where I saw you drink, was probably a few weeks later. Yeah. And you drank wine. Mm-hmm. And I witnessed you drink wine, red wine, which is important for you to specify, I guess. Okay. Nice. All right. And you were going for intergalactic oneness, obviously. And you didn't, did you get that? No, okay. All right. So it was Pinot Noir, which was the most healthy wine, I think. I had looked that up, Pinot Noir. Yeah. Yeah. Because that was what I did too for a while there. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so I literally watched Emilia walk over to the sink, look at me, and she said, "I think I'm done with this now." Good. And she took her glass, poured it out in the sink, took the rest of the bottle, poured it out in the sink, and she's like, "I'm done with that now." And you've never drank since. The point of this, though, for anyone out there, listen, you don't have to quit drinking if you don't want to. You do you. I do recommend it.
I highly recommend it.
I highly recommend
science continues to emerge. It is not helping you.
I mean, you can research this, ChatGPT this, Google, whatever AI you use. There are study upon study upon study about how alcohol can destroy you. That said, regardless of any of that, to bring this to this episode, think about how many landmines, for lack of better phrasing, you and I have completely avoided just from the fact that we've never drank together. Emilia and I have never drank together.
I know.
And we never, no coming home in an unresourceful state drunk, saying something you don't mean, like none of that.
None
so
of it.
I'm so grateful that you and I met when we did. Because I always said when I met Emilia, I want to do this one right. I want to do this one right. Because I had a relationship in college, and I partied in college, and there was fights and stuff.
Of course.
And so, anyways, the point of this is, if you are both in an unresourceful state, which alcohol can induce, and you're tired, and you're lonely and you're not feeling yourself and you have low self-esteem and you're insecure and you've been drinking or whatever, you're going to, I think it's arrogant to think bad things aren't going to happen.
Especially when you look at the research. I'm going to link a research study in the show notes that really showcases this in particular. 2 things that we're talking about: the collision zone, which is stress, coming home from work, and alcohol.
The collision zone is also at night.
Yeah, the collision zone is essentially at night. And when are people drinking? The large majority of those statistics fall within that 7 to 12 p.m. time frame.
Well, your dad always said nothing good happens past 11 p.m.
It was 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay, so if you think about how many fights with couples happened, let's say, past 10 p.m., what percentage do you think it would be?
Yeah, it exponentially increases actually as the sun goes down. And some of the reasons why, and I think that what you just said is really important and worth noting, when you have fights in the evening, that actually contributes to waking up more predisposed. So number one, you obviously have poor relationship quality in that moment, but then you go to bed like not in love, and that actually correlates to worse sleep, and then that correlates to waking up
in an unresourceful state,
which then predisposes and the likelihood of you still waking up angry and frustrated and disconnected. There are research that show the meta-analysis of the research in this arena that showcase that not only does that one evening, that one poor choice, that one collision zone impact you right then and there, but then it crosses over and spills over into the next day.
Yeah.
And so couples that have an increase of collision zones and not kind of wiping off that quote unquote gunk of their day prior to engaging at night, that their statistical marital success rate or marital satisfaction rate truncates and goes all the way down because of the fact that people don't realize that that's just stress without alcohol. Now overlap into the research, alcohol into that, you're not setting yourself up for success.
Brutal. There's a book by Roy Baumeister. I forget the other author. There's a co-author, but it's called Willpower. Unbelievable book. So important. Well-researched book. They talk about how your willpower is the highest in the morning. And there's something called decision fatigue, where basically it shows that the further you go throughout your day, the more decisions you make, the less likely you make intelligent decisions. AKA, in relationship talks, you're going to say something mean or inaccurate or that you regret, or do something that you regret. So I do agree nothing good happens past 11 p.m. And if you're drinking, that's a whole nother ballgame. So, all right, before we get out of here, we've got a minute on the clock. Emilia has a coaching session. The shared language, green, yellow, red. So what is your current state, green, yellow, or red? And where's it headed? And at what rate? That's what Emilia and I do. So where's your state, my love?
I am green.
Okay. Headed?
Green.
Green, headed green, meaning up?
Yep.
And at what rate?
Slow.
Okay, I am green, headed yellow, slowly, as I prepare for my next meeting. Okay, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
No, I feel complete.
Good. That's green, headed greener, so I'm glad that makes one of us. I'm kidding. All right, so we have the top 3 things men struggle with in their relationship coming up. Please join us. They're private. You can keep your camera off. The chat's on fire. It's awesome. In the world of AI and the internet, loneliness is at an all-time high. And human connection, belonging, and community is going to change everything. The people you associate with changes everything. Come associate with other conscious couples that want to work on themselves and their relationship. And if you don't want to work on yourself, please do not come under any circumstance. Also, Relationship Talks Coaching, Emilia and I do one for free. The first one is free, no strings attached. If you and your partner want to come, you never know what might come of it. We will help you align and achieve your goals and dreams together. Not just flourish and be in love, but also achieve your goals and dreams together. Is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you all so much. We appreciate you. And as always, it's not about you or me. It's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please check the show notes to connect with us and say hello on social media.
If you and your partner resonated with this episode, please leave us a 5-star review at the link in the show notes and share this with someone you love. Until next time, it's not about you or me. It's about
The
the
we.
we. We'll talk to you next time.